How you lay out your workspace is purely a personal decision, but I just thought I'd show you through how I set mine up and what I find most comfortable. So first of all, I use a stand-up desk, which can be wound up depending on the height I want to work. So I find that really helpful. I love standing rather than sitting so that I can have a really good view over my plate. I work on carpet plus a mat, so I've got plenty of good support under my feet, and I wear good shoes. And really I can be at this desk for hours. I absolutely love gel printing. I put my gel plate, as I mentioned back in our supplies video, I put my gel plate onto a piece of cardboard, and that's to act as a support. It means I can lift it up, I can move it, I can easily lift up the gel plate because it's clear. I can see how my marks are looking from the underside. But also the thing with that is that it will also help when it comes to registering my print onto a substrate. So this particular paper is what I often print onto, and so it's super helpful to be able to align my substrate with this piece of cardboard. And I've put a nice clean one on for the purposes of this course, but it gets pretty messy quickly. So let's see how it goes. And as you can see, the gel plate can sort of wobble out of shape a bit. You know, you can sort of have a corner sticking up. It is important to just, you know, make sure that it's sitting nice and square and it's returned to its correct shape. Okay, I have scrap paper here on which I roll off my roller or brayer, but as another idea is that you could have a second gel plate here and be creating marks on another gel plate there as well. So that's another option. I've got my roller and I've got my paint. Now the purpose, let me just go back to this piece of paper here. This is both a place where you can just roll off your paint and get more thin out the amount of paint you've got on here. So removing too much paint can go onto here. It can be used to blend paints better. And you can also use it as a palette if you're going to sponge and stamp onto your gel plate. So that has multiple purposes. Then that obviously is where I keep my roller. And the good thing about another good thing about these speedball rollers is this bar here. So when it's not in use, whether it's either dry or wet, you can turn it up and rest it on this bar. And not all rollers have the right weight of this. Often, you know, there's some brands that keep tilting up because of the weight of the roller. So that's just another really good tip. I like to keep it sitting on this bar, and the speedball is weighted nicely to be able to do that. Have your acrylic paints of choice already nice and close by, so they'll be just here off to the side. My medium is also here with some palette knives, so they are just not far away. I've got my substrates. I've got a little table just to my left here, and obviously for this beginner course we're just going to be starting on copy paper, so I've got a little stash of copy paper there. Depending on what you're choosing to do, it's a good idea to have an idea of where you want to start. So go looking for some stencils or some stamps that you might like to start with, or just, you know, just some random little things that you can make marks with. So just collect a few of those. Again, they're off to the side and they're ready to go. I can, once I have an idea of where I'm starting, then you're free to change direction, but it is a good idea before you start to have a few things out and ready to go. Over on my left, I've got a water bucket, a small water bucket, and a drying area with a towel. And so I like to wash out my rollers between each paint application. And so I will either be working with two rollers or just be dropping it in the water bucket, giving it a bit of a massage, drying it off, and then leaving it to dry. So that happens over on my left. Then under the table, I have a hairdryer. As I said, that's not essential and you do have to be careful, but it is a great thing to have on hand. I do suggest good lighting because just that texture and paint layers and really being able to see your gel plate and what you're doing clearly is important. So even if you aren't filming and you haven't got a big overhead light, it is important to have good light, and it is important to have a good natural coloured light, and I won't go into that here, but fluorescent is a bit blue, and then some other colours are a bit warmer. As long as you've got a nice white light, you'll be able to see the colours that you are laying down in a realistic light. And I am right-handed, so this is the way I lay my table out and my workspace as a right-hander. But if you're a left-hander, you might swap all these around. So you might have your palette here, your roller, your paint, etc. But that's just all personal preference, and I just thought I'd give you a rundown of how I like to lay out my workspace.